today. We're celebrating the big victory yesterday over Maryland, 70-66. I'll tell you what, another guy that I thought played really well and probably didn't get as much of the post-game pub just because of the new man, Sam Hoiberg, dominating and Casey, but Blaze Keita.
Yes, he did, brother.
I'm hoping that the ankle will be okay too.
Yes, he played some big minutes, had some big boards, a huge block.
Yeah, and the charges. He
charges
at
6'11".
Yeah,
at 6'11". Vincent Napa.
Heck yeah,
Vincent Napa. We got a caller.
Rastin, what?
I've been wanting this call forever.
Vince, what's up, man?
Hey, good morning, fellas. I got a 3-day weekend, so I know I normally call the show before you, but I actually had the nerve to sleep in a little bit this morning.
Good for you, brother.
I've been waiting for this call, Vinny.
Well, I won't disappoint, man. Let me tell you. But as far as yesterday's win is concerned, AD, you're right. The officiating definitely left a lot to be desired. But I'll tell you one thing about this team is that. It was, they fought through a lot of peaks and valleys. We get the 7-point halftime lead. Maryland gets the momentum. It looks like they're ready to take the game back. But this team weathered the storm. And when it was time in overtime, that was when they made the plays that they had to make. But I'll tell you something, Raph. It's funny because Sip was talking about, we talked about how this team is kind of trending toward an NIT berth. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because when we won the NIT back in '96, I kind of scoffed at it at the time, mainly because I thought that team had the ability to make a run at the Sweet 16. But now it's like we've been without postseason basketball for so long. Mm. Now the NIT is exciting. I guess it's one of those things where if you've been in the desert long enough, you're going to eat. You want to eat the sand at some point. Mm. But most of all, I think because with the emergence of Tominaga, even if he's not hitting 3-pointers, you still have to honor him, and that opens up Derek Walker to get downhill. But most of all, what stands out is this is a team that's playing like it believes. And so many times the last few years we've seen. Like with football, when there's actually been a buzz and some expectation, the team comes up small. Yesterday, there was a buzz, a little bit of expectations, and the team got it done when they had to get it done. Mm-hmm. But let me tell you something, though, fellas. We got 3 more regular season games. We got the Big Ten tournament. This team has a chance to make something happen, get to the postseason for the first time in goodness knows how long. And let me tell you something. Whether it was yesterday's overtime performance and coming through when they had to, or Matt Rule's football team working out in the snow, I'll tell you something.
Let's go.
It's nice to see a whole weekend where you got 2 teams that fight with bloody knuckles. Let's go.
Let's go, Vince.
That is our man right there, baby. That is our man.
Every day, Vince brings the energy.
Vince is the man.
Oh, man.
Man, I'll tell you what, though. Vince, my guy there. Back in the day, can you imagine the Daily Nebraska newspaper back in the 90s when you got Vince and Napa on the staff, Mitch Sherman on staff.
Oh, man.
You've got Todd Walkenhorst, who he was with the Chiefs and the Seahawks and all these NFL teams. And then you got Scott Brune, who's been down there forever.
Yeah.
And they're all working together on staff. Those were the days. They might have got banned by Tom Osborne for a couple of weeks, but they were pushing the mantra. Oh, and I forgot Trevor Parks, Mr. Youngstown State SID. So yeah, they were loaded down there at the old Daily Nebraskan back in the mid 90s there.
Keith Tenney says, "What's up, KT?" He goes, "Let's go!" Downtown Scott, I wish I could say yours. You just said bloody knuckles.
Nothing else.
I like bloody knuckles.
Funny story. So the first time I ever filled in for Sorensen with Sip on the morning show, it was during football season, and Vince called in. I didn't know what Vince was about and how his calls went. That man started screaming and yelling about bloody knuckles, and I started freaking out because I was like, "Wait a minute!" I was like, "This is not
hit the button. Hit the button.
What I'm used to.
Keep your hand on the button.
Yeah, this is not what I'm used to." No, it's good.
Yeah, I was like, Vince, when are you going to call into our show? He's like, "I'm always working." I'm like, man. So
I'm glad
it's good to see Vince and Napa.
Vince, I appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. Also appreciate it before we hop on the next segment for a break. I thought the All-Star dunking contest was going to be a freaking joke. I mean, I was like,
I concur.
yeah. I mean, I'm talking to Raph, and it was kind of just rapping like, man, I ain't watching it. Talks to my other homeboys, man, some of my fraternity brothers. It's like, man, I ain't even watching it. Then everybody decided, okay, I'm gonna watch it. Man, I'm glad I did.
Well, it was Mac McClung that stole the show. I mean, let's be honest, guys. If
White men can jump.
what are we saying though? If Mac McClung doesn't do the 720 at the end?
He did so many of the dunks. I think he still wins, man.
Oh, the one
he had two dunks that were
I'm
50s.
saying the scope of the entire thing.
Oh,
because if you think about how NBA has changed, right?
Yes.
Like we were freaking out about the dude that put his arm in the bucket.
Yeah, that was Vince Carter.
Yeah, but like one thing is we went from like MJ, then we went from that to Aaron Gordon and Blake Griffin, and you had guys jumping over cars a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And now you're having like guys that have barely made over $100,000 having to be in the dunk contest because nobody else wants to do it.
He made $100,000 Saturday night.
He did,
and that was his salary for the previous team.
I'm good with him being in it.
His career earnings were $106,000, and he made $100,000 on Saturday. But now we're having guys like when we talk about how we're going to get people to watch it, right? Watch the product. You're not getting the Ja Morants. You're not getting the.
If he gets
players.
1 billion likes, he'll do it.
Is that what happened?
What's that?
Well,
If he gets 1 billion with a billion, he will do the dunk contest next year.
Who's that?
Ja Morant.
who's probably one of the more electrifying players in the league, but you're not having those types of guys in the dunk contest, so it makes it really hard for people to want to watch it when they don't know the names.
Yeah,
we were the same way, but man,
what's that?
We were like, there's not really anybody.
Oh yeah.
The only reason we knew
Mac McClung.
Mac McClung was because of Nick the night before.
Yeah, you were talking about it.
Mac McClung.
I was like, who? I'm
a big Mac McClung and Scoot fan now.
Scoot.
Oh, and Josh Giddey.
Josh Giddey as well.
3 guys I never heard of until.
Yeah, it was the Rising Stars game.
Yeah.
Josh Giddey, Scoot Anderson, and
I mean, kind of, but not.
I love the name Scoot.
Also, it's Scoot Henderson. All
Henderson,
right,
not Anderson.
He's a top 2 pick. All right,
I
watch
know.
yourself.
I'm aware. After
Put some
Friday.
respect behind his name.
Yeah, put some respect on Scoot's name.
Thanks for playing, Rico. Scoot.
I was pleasantly surprised.
I don't worry about the last name. I just know Scoot.
Scoot.
There's
been talk that maybe Nick's new nickname will be Scoot. Scoot Sainert.
Nick Scoot. I like that. I
don't.
Look at Rico.
He's not cool enough to have the nickname Scoot.
Oh,
We call him Nick Lasab.
There's a lot of shots fired this morning.
You should see my parking job.
AD. I'm sitting in the parking lot. I see Nick roll up in the LeSabre. And next thing I know, I see Nick backing in the LeSabre. He backed it in today. He backed it in.
Jiggy with it.
I backed in the
Back that thing up. Boom.
I backed the Buick in.
Boom. Boom.
It's a little bigger than I'm used to, but
he's on a few yellow lines out there.
The spot next to me is not really a parking spot.
Pull out there like Nick has more room than my Suburban with that LeSabre right there.
One of the spot. Well, I didn't want to hit Sip's truck. Number 1. Number 2, the other spot on the other side of my the vehicle of the loaner car is. I forgot to turn Rico's mic off.
Yeah, I was like,
that's all Rico does. That's all Rico does all day.
He's on his phone back there, chilling.
Just on his phone, just chilling. Nope. You have lost all privileges.
You're lucky it's this video and not I was just watching.
But I might have stolen Terrell Farley's spot because he usually parks in the restricted spots.
Yeah.
So there's lines across the parking spot. He parks right into it.
Terrell, like I'm the black shirt in the park where I want to park.
Some vehicle was parked in that spot that's not even a spot, and he was like, "Who's in my spot?" T. Farley, that's not even a spot.
Hey,
it's not
and
even
you
a
know
parking
what?
Spot.
Eric and Lincoln, that's a good point.
They shouldn't be parked there either.
Eric says, my 7-year-old wants Tominaga to launch off half-court shots. I'm not against that either. Let it fly.
I'd much rather see Tominaga launching half-court shots than that one guy that works here.
Yeah, that's straight.
He's gonna be hearing about that so much.
And you know what though? And also, real quick, we got.
He didn't want to go to Chicago. That's why he went over 5.
Explain why.
He said he didn't want to go to Chicago.
He did not want to go to Chicago.
Yeah, if Chicago's the trip in February, that's not really appealing. I love Chicago, just not in the wintertime.
He told me, he's like, listen, if it was like, Houston, or if it was somewhere else, I would have lined up and maybe tried a little harder. But I didn't want to go to Chicago.
It was almost like a penalty for making it.
I looked over and I was like, Strick, you could have given the flight to me. And he was like, oh, I didn't even think about that.
He was still knocking down that 16-foot butter before the game, though.
Yeah.
Strick has got that butter shot still, man. I mean, he just gets what I've watched that shot for literally since we were in high school.
Did you hear about Ken Pavelka telling him he'd give him $50 if he dunked it? then at the end of the game, he was offering the same deal to Fred Hoiberg, and I'm like, KP, you're on a roll, brother.
You know what? Scaper says, can you guys make a prediction on Tominaga's next 3 games, average points? I don't, dude. He's well. First of all, that stat we're going to talk about it too. That Jake shared this morning. He's the first player to score 20 points 5 straight games.
Yep.
The last time that did it was Teron Lue back in '97.
Yep. I will.
And he was doing it in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
In the Big Ten. What were you going to say?
I was just going to put out the prediction. Casey is going to average 22.6 points a game over the next 3 games.
What you think, Nick?
I
can't call it. I can't call it.
I'm not sure yet.
I can't call it.
I thought he was off yesterday.
Yeah, he still scored 20-something points.
So
Off. I don't know if he was off
The
or
3-point
if they were just guarding him.
Man, when he brought that 3-pointer there at the end, though, holy cow! Wow.
You know what's most
Rico
impressive, though?
Rico and I almost fell over in our chairs yesterday up in Media Row when it was intense.
What was most impressive about Tominaga? I can't wait to break this game down more, but before I forget about it, he didn't rush. He didn't force anything.
Yeah.
Earlier in the year, these were shots he would force. He's letting the game come to him.
Yeah.
So, yes. Well, we're going to take a break.
It's a drive, 93.7. The Ticket.